Avoidant discard does not mean that the avoidant person doesn't care about you. Now, I am not condoning it. I'm not saying it's okay, but the number one pain point that I hear from people who experience what they consider what is considered the avoidant discard, and I'm using that word considered very intentionally, and I'll discuss that in a second. That number one pain point is that they receive it as the person not caring about them anymore. It seems like they don't care if they never see you again. It feels like the relationship didn't mean anything to them. However, on the contrary, both from a research point of view, as well as having worked with many dismissive avoidant clients myself and hearing their perspective, it is actually because they care about you that they do what is considered to be the discard. The reason I'm using the word considered is because the word discard implies a relationship with you. If something is discarded, it means that the person discarding it no longer has use for it, finds it to be worthless. And while your feelings are so valid, and I completely understand why it does feel like a discard, the person who is doing that behavior is doing so because they still have feelings for you. Dismissive avoidants operate in the delta, the gap between their feelings and their fears. So in the beginning of the relationship, they have very warm feelings, but more importantly, they're able to articulate and communicate those feelings and even talk about the future. And that is because their fears of being trapped and smothered and losing their sense of identity have not been activated yet. And as time goes on, it's not that the feelings change. So in this, and this is again not for every single situation, but for most of them, the feelings stay the same. It's the fears which increase, which leaves a much smaller margin for vulnerability. And those fears start to come online so strongly that they end up superseding the feelings. But the feelings stay in the same place in a lot of these cases. It's just that what feels more important from a nervous system perspective is to get out of what feels like a life-threatening situation, again, from a nervous system in their sympathetic, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, but for them, it's going to be freeze and flee. So when they have finally decided to end the relationship and they are acting more out of their sympathetic nervous system, which would be versus the parasympathetic, which is rest and digest, they are going to reach for the most effective strategy based off of their programming, based off of their childhood experiences of getting their needs met. And for them, the most effective strategy is to deactivate, to downregulate, maybe to disassociate. All three of these are utilized with the purpose of separating themselves from their feelings, from their identity, from their thoughts, in order to be able to make the decision to end the relationship, but also to not have the floodgates open of their feelings, which is a situation, again, from a semi or subconscious place, that is something that they really do not feel equipped to handle. And when I am working with a dismissive avoidant client who has done this discard, they corroborate that the reason it is so easy and comfortable for them to block, to be cold and icy, to not respond to text messages, to get as much space as possible is because that is what feels safest to them, because they still care about the person very, very much. If this is something you've experienced from either end and you are still reeling from a heartbreak, I would love to work with you. I am opening spots for late November and December clients. You can book a free compatibility call in the link in my bio and let me know if you have any questions.